give you some love. So again, tonight was about dreams. It's about how to fight for your dreams and win every time. If you've seen any consistency throughout the whole night, tiny steps forward, finishing things up. And Paul, I was tearing up because, man, those stories. Because you really don't know your strength until you're broken down eating dirt. How many of us have been on the floor eating dirt where you can barely even see your own vision of yourself anymore? How many of us have had those times? But those are the times where you can't get lower because you're already in the dirt. So just look up. And as Dr. King said, only in darkness can you see the stars. Only in darkness can you see the stars. So as you start pursuing your dreams, know that dreams, as Paul said, it first starts off like a very fragile egg. So you have to be very, 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 very careful who you share your story with, who you share your dreams with. They're like little kids. Hopefully this community provides you that support, the friendship, the love, the sister, the brotherhood you have, because without that, someone's going to literally step on your dreams. And that happens a lot. In time, with the right support, with the right coaching, with the right training, with the right guidance, it becomes a diamond. And my clients know, Gladys knows, all my clients, they're diamonds, or a ruby, or whatever it is, but it's a hard substance of commitment. So you go from a fragile egg to a hardened gem. And you want to find the people in your lives that see you as a gem. And this is not hyperbole. If you look at the science, people who are more positive, people who are more optimistic, and unfortunately there's people probably in this room, like, this guy's full of shit, this guy's always talking hopeful stuff, like, Paul, why are they so positive? Why are you so negative? At one point, someone probably told you, you can't do this, you're not bright enough, you're not smart enough, you're not tall enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not Wolverine enough. The point is, find the people that see you as a gem so that you will shine. Because all of you do have a story. That's why I'm so passionate about doing what we're doing here. If you can tell in my tone of voice, I am very, very passionate about all your dreams. Because once you start living your own dreams, what is there to do to help everyone else live their dreams? So I'm going to share 3 stories. How to fight for your dreams and win every time. The first story is a guy named Preston Jorgensen. Preston, mother and father divorced about a year after he was born. Her mother was 17 years old in high school, and his father was 19. Father drank a lot, father didn't have money, father leaves. Think about this. Your first 1 year without a father, your mother's a 17-year-old. Thankfully for the mother, she remarries to a man named Mike, and now Preston has a loving father structure. As Preston gets older, he moves from Houston to Miami. He ends up going to Miami Palmetto High School. Anyone at Palmetto High School? And then eventually he goes to be valedictorian, goes to Princeton, and then he ends up having this wild, crazy dream. When he's in his early 30s, he's married, he's making good money in New York City, and the wild, crazy dream is that Preston's name is Jeff Preston Bezos. If you listen and watch and learn and read about Jeff Bezos' stories, his actual birth name is Jeffrey Preston Jorgensen. But his mother didn't have a father, so she remarried to a Cuban immigrant named Mike Bezos, which is why we know him as Jeff Bezos. But when he was in high school, he was a cook at McDonald's. Now, I share this story with you all because a cook from McDonald's who grew up with a single mother became a billionaire and built $1 trillion company. Too many of us look at someone like Jeff Bezos or Oprah Winfrey, whoever you want to paint as this, I can't be that person. They're all human beings. They have the same mouth and the other body part that we all have. So don't ever glorify people. You can admire people, but don't put them on a pedestal because they'll always disappoint you. No one's perfect. But if you look at someone like Jeff Bezos or Oprah Winfrey, their struggle was so insane that they had to fight for their lives. Just imagine this. Rewind our history 30 years. And Jeff Bezos tells you, hey everyone, I'm going to create a website called Amazon, and I'm going to sell books on Amazon, and one day it's going to be $1 trillion business. You gonna believe him? When he was raising money, $1 million in 1994, he had to ask 60 people. 22 said yes, including his parents, but 40 said no. Going back to the fight. If you have a dream, you surround yourself with the great people, mentors, coaches, people like that you believe in, or in my case, my parents were very traditional Chinese, they never really supported me, so I read a lot of books. I read all these like self-help books like Les Brown and Og Manduna and Tony Robbins, because all they keep telling you is like, you're amazing, you're great, you're a gem, you're a diamond. I'm like, yeah, I believe it. Because I didn't have that as a kid. My teacher would tell me to shut up because I talked too much. My other teacher told me I had a reading disability because I was stupid. And then I was really short. I was 4'10". So I was stupid, short, not very bright, and unattractive. But as I finished college, I started reading these books. I'm like, this is so cool. There's people who support me. And unlike people who aren't always supportive or consistent, books don't get angry at you. Books don't yell at you. Books don't judge you. So for those of you who don't have support, who don't have encouragement, read more encouraging books. I, every day, listen to Oprah Winfrey and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, whoever, again, you vibe with. Listen to Oprah Winfrey. She's like, every morning I walk out of my room and I see this picture of the highest bidder. And it's a woman who's a slave woman and her kid, and she reminds herself every day where her history came from. So whatever you want, whether it's me putting the shoes of my mother there by the door, or me, whenever I travel, having her rosary next to me because it's close to who I am, you have to find that support to support you during those tough times, because we don't. You will be that egg that will be crushed by anyone that says something negative to you. And there's a lot of negative people. So instead of hating on them, just wish them well and move on. Because if you're gonna have dreams to fight for, you have to have people around you that see you as a diamond, and if they're not around, then you buy books, read books, watch interviews, because there's no reason why you should not be encouraged. It starts with up here. You have to have the right mindset. Gladys knows this, who's a client of mine. I can teach this skill set to anyone in the room to define your expertise, market your expertise, and make money from your expertise. But you have to work on this. If I keep telling you every day, Gladys, you're amazing, you're bright, you're beautiful, you're ambitious, you're confident, all these things, but if she keeps saying, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, it's not gonna help. So make sure you have good soil around you with the people around you. That's what I hope this community is about. And make sure if you wanna be hardened with your conviction, you have to take action consistently every single day. Because how could it be that a 6-year-old kid, every day, my teachers look down at me and keep telling me, shut up. Now, they don't say that when you're in Catholic school. They just say, Christopher, you're talking too much. You're gonna stay after class and write, I will not talk in class 100 times. Then 200 times. And then in 3rd grade, I think it was abuse, but my 3rd grade teacher made me write, I will not talk in class 500 times. I still remember this because I wrote all this over the wall, and I was like, I'm 8 years old, my friends are outside playing, having fun, and here I am, my hand hurts, and my atrocious handwriting is all on the walls. That's just child abuse. The point is, how insane is it that my supposed weakness, my supposed flaw, what I was punished for from an authority figure telling me, Christopher, shut up, is the very gift that I have now, where I will shut up when I want to shut up, but when I choose to talk, I will speak and I will command the room. And when I do that, I'm going to inspire every single person I meet in the world, especially young people, to live their dreams, because we're here for one short time. You have to remember that in a blink of an eye, we're gone. So anytime you have fear, it's this thing in our brains called the amygdala. Do you know why people are afraid of public speaking? It's because if I'm standing here, this goes back to the amygdala. We've been around for 200,000 years, so many Homo sapiens. In theory, we're in tribes, therefore we're more protected. So if a tiger approaches me, I'm like, oh, we're part of a family, so maybe they'll eat this person or that person. Maybe they won't eat me, because we're in a family, we're in a tribe, okay? But if I'm here, I feel vulnerable. But there aren't no tigers, there aren't no lions. I have stalkers, I have people that, kind of get aggressive, but they're not gonna hurt me, at least hopefully, right? But you have to understand science and understand how to rewire yourself, because fears are supposed to help us from danger. But when you speak, especially with vulnerability, you realize that once you speak your heart and your truth, Some people will like you, and some people won't. The people that like you, you move toward them. The people that don't, bye. You don't have to be with everyone. But going back to the theme of how to fight for your dreams and win every time, you have Jeff Bezos. Did anyone even know that story about Jeff Bezos? Worked at McDonald's. Mom was a 17-year-old. Dad was an alcoholic, didn't have any money, and then found a new father. The next story I'm going to share is my client named Shelly. She calls herself the grandma from Idaho. This woman grew up on a farm in Washington, was really poor, would work the fields. Then at one point, she married a guy, they moved to Idaho. Her dream was to create a networking company. Her dream was to have a business. Her dream was to really help people connect better to other people. And so at one point though, times were tough. How did she fight? Her husband is having difficulty paying the mortgage. She gets a part-time job at an airline where she's cleaning toilets on an airline. Now again, you have a dream. You have goals, you have desires. Do you want to clean toilets at an airline? Kind of humiliating, but she had support. She had her husband, she had her kids, but she had a dream. I'm going to build a company, I'm going to build a global company. She ends up hiring me in a castle in Ireland because the win part of your business is you have to create a global brand. It's not enough for you to have a story. It's not enough to have your connections. It's not enough to have great products or service. You have to build a global brand because we live in the most distracted time in human history. If you don't have a brand that you can Google, you don't have a brand. You're either invisible, visible, or an expert. You have to be perceived as an expert, otherwise you are essentially invisible. Because we live in a world that's so distracting where even right now, someone's on their phone. Maybe, hopefully they're writing notes, because otherwise it's rude as fuck, okay? So the point is, in Shelly's case, she hires me, she knows I wrote a book about networking with billionaires, she knows that I travel the world, she knows I've interviewed Elon Musk, she was a small town girl from Idaho, now a farm girl in, well, Washington, but she wants to raise a global brand. What does she do? She spends a lot of money renting a castle, 1,900-acre castle. I'm already in Berlin at the time. I don't even believe her, by the way, because she's like, again, a grandma, and her business partner's in Australia. I look at her website, it doesn't look very professional. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But again, I always want to be open-minded, and when I got on a Zoom call, as soon as I felt their heart, as soon as I knew they were great mothers, and again, you can probably see how I teared up a little bit, because every time I talk to my mom, I'm like, oh, I gotta contain my emotions. But when I knew that they're mompreneurs, striving to have a dream where they're fighting for, and they want to raise a global brand, and I charge a lot more than that they paid me, but I'm like, all right, fine, I'm going to be in Berlin, which is where I met Ashley Paul. So I went there, and I was a closing speaker. So she was able to say, oh my gosh, I have this amazing mastermind at a castle in Ireland, and I invited the billionaire network, Christopher Kai, and he came and spoke at an event, and it completely raised her brand. And then when we got back to the US, I started helping her build her brand locally, and now she's a rock star building her dreams, but she had the winning factor in every single business that succeeds. Whether it's Amazon or my friend Shelly, you have to have a brand that someone can Google and you pop up. Because if you get Googled and you don't pop up, you're invisible. And there's many ways to prevent that, but keep in mind that no matter what you're doing, one of the young women out there asked, what do you focus on? The 3 high-quality decisions. I wish I can say it's all about stories. I wish I can say it's all about marketing. It took me 8 years to write my first book. 8 years. I put up a website. I had these speeches. No one hired me. And then about 9 years ago, I met a 22-year-old college dropout named Tyler. He told me he wrote a book on networking, got a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and I'm like, bullshit. Like, I'm from New York, so I'm like super blunt. I'm like, I don't believe you. But when I dialed into what he was doing, I'm like, wow, this is real. So even though I had already written the book, within 60 days, I wrote a book on networking, and then 2 years later, I got a #1 bestseller on Amazon. Now that matters because even though I have the knowledge, the passion, the fight, but I didn't have the winning factor, which is the brand. Which is why when Paul and I met a year and a half ago, we created this event called Rockstar Entrepreneur Day, where we help our entrepreneurs become brands. He helps them online as an influencer. I help them offline as a corporate speaker. But had I known this early on, it's not good, because it essentially is, people do judge a book by its cover. We all think they don't, but they do. Why do you think I have this hair? Tough crowd, okay. No, but the point is, I am very mindful of how I look. I'm very mindful of how my clients look because it matters. We can say, oh, it doesn't really matter, but it does. Optics in the day and age now matters. So if you want to build a global brand, you're going to be either perceived as the Ferrari, Louis Vuitton, Ritz-Carlton, or Kmart or Walmart. There's nothing wrong with either brand. But if you want to charge higher price points, meet more very wealthy people, you have to know how they perceive you. The single biggest challenge I see many entrepreneurs have, they don't look at themselves in the mirror honestly. The honest truth was, when I wrote my first book, I didn't have a good brand, my title sucked, I wasn't a good speaker, I didn't know my market, I didn't know how to find clients. Now, as soon as I realized it's about my brand, that's why you'll see things like Inc. Magazine Forbes, because otherwise, it's my name that my mother named me after, it's GifterXTalks, but other than that, you have to have those global brands. Because as soon as you start associating global names with your name, then all of a sudden, you're Gladys Trasoros, who is the #1 South Florida spray tanning business. She has worked with 20,000 clients, including celebrities like Paris Hilton. And she has a program called Be Your Own Boss, and she helps people, especially Latinas, create their own business. So when I read and wrote that bio for my client Gladys, she was almost near tears. Because she knows she's a diamond, but she needs someone like me to remind her, no, Gladys, this is who you are, but you have to frame it in a way that they respect you and pay you for what you're worth. And all of you are worth something. But if the world sees you as nothing, if the world perceives you as nothing, if the world Googles you and sees you invisible, you'll never have that winning business, that winning life, and that winning legacy. So to finish off this story, today is my grandfather's birthday, my cousin's birthday, and my brother's birthday, going back to having support. My name in Chinese is G. So I was talking to my Cubano friends there, I call them OG. My name actually is G in Chinese. And I was born and raised in New York City, my parents from Hong Kong, but G means wisdom. How insane is it that my grandfather, who I didn't know, named me Wisdom. My mother named me after a saint, St. Christopher, who is the patron saint of transportation. And the best and most beautiful and most bold way to raise your brand is to have a story. So I just share with you my Chinese name, which means wisdom, which hopefully you're learning something to either do more or do less. And know that my mother, my dear mother, named me after a guy who had these broad shoulders and a cane, 7-foot tall Canaanite. He'd walk across this raging river and he would carry people on his shoulders to the other side to safety. And one day he carries a baby on his shoulders, and for whatever reason, he feels the weight of the world. He almost drowns when he's on this river, gets to the other side, puts the baby down. It turns out that that baby is baby Jesus reincarnated. So his name, Christopher, means Christ bearer. He's bearing the burden of Christ. How inspiring is it that my mother named me after a saint so that my goal, my purpose, my mission in life is carry people along a raging river, struggles, the fight, the challenges, the obstacles. All of us have it. But do you have someone to shoulder that pain with you? Do you carry that pain along to the safety? I know my mission very clearly now because I've been doing this for a very long time. But I hope all of you, before you rest your head on your bed tonight, before you rest your head on your pillow tonight, think about your dreams. Think about when you were a 6-year-old kid or a 5-year-old kid. What did you dream about? Because those are the most telling moments that you can be inspired about. Just like with me. This is that when I talked a lot, I got punished. But it always goes back to childhood. The scars come from childhood, and the dreams come from childhood. So make sure before you go to bed tonight, what are your dreams? You fight for those dreams by surrounding yourself with people here around you, coaches, mentors, whoever you do, books, Oprah, Jeff Bezos, whoever it is. And then lastly, if you want to be a winning person, a winning business, you have to build a global brand by sharing a story. I just took the most basic, normal-looking sounding name and turned it into Saint Christopher. A religion that's been around for 2,000 years. He's a Canaanite. He's been canonized, but it's Christopher. So remember, all of you have a unique story, but do you have a unique global brand? Because you can have the story, but if you don't have someone like myself or someone helping you, You have to find that, because otherwise, you're going to be like some guy named Ronald Wayne. Anyone know who Ronald Wayne is?
Yep.
Who is Ronald Wayne?
He's going to invest in Apple.
He was the third founder of Apple. It was Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, and Ronald Wayne. Ronald Wayne's still alive right now. He was the first guy that actually wrote the contract. He drafted the logo, and he was the older guy there, but he ended up leaving because he didn't have the courage. I'm not judging Ronald Wayne, by the way. I'm just saying, all of you, when people ask me, what's the single most important quality I need? It's courage. The courage to take that stuff forward and say, I'm going to live my dreams today. The courage to put yourself forward again, and I'm going to find people like Gladys to support me. The courage to step forward again, and making sure that it's step by step that you allow to fight for your dreams, to have the courage. Most importantly, if you want to win, make sure you share your branded story, because you can turn anything, including a name like Christopher, into Saint Christopher.